Hey everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel. It is Racquet here. Hope you guys are having a fine evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may hail from. That is my intro formally. And yeah, this is the latest episode of Running with Racquet. A little bit delayed. Um, I have both a Rode and a Blue Yeti microphone that has recently shit themselves, so both of them are no longer working. I've decided to purchase it's called a Stadium Hollywood one. I just wanted to test it out just to see how things can go. I could have just gone back to the Rode or the Yeti. Both of them worked fine. I was a little bit more hesitant on the Yeti because I have had more than one problem with the Yeti in the past because of like compatibility for some reason. Been getting some weird Windows errors when I connect my Blue Yeti. I ended up fetching another cord to see if that would fix it, but hence why I've purchased a new microphone, because that didn't work. So let me know what you guys think about the audio. I've attached a pop filter to the front as well, so you don't hear any, those type of things. So yeah, hopefully everything goes right in that respect. So yeah, let's get on to the matter at hand. Let's have a chat about the coronavirus. Now, I had a feeling this was going to be a topic that was always going to rise up in my podcast, considering the escalation of the process. Now, this is going to be a shorter podcast than usual because, I don't want to look like I'm sort of promoting coronavirus in a bad way or anything like that. I just want to have my sort of thoughts around it because, it is a rising topic that a lot of people, I think, are interested in talking about, whether it be for controversial reasons, whether it be for scientific reasons, whether it be just for a general discussion. For me, this channel has, been about discussions. I'm, vocal with my opinions, but you guys can also, say whatever you want to say, and we can have a discussion about it. My opinion is not the be-all, end-all, and I think that's, a power that everyone should have. You don't necessarily need to be the end of the draw stick, and you can always have a voice, no matter who you are. Enough of that. Coronavirus. How's it looking? What is happening? What is the coronavirus? I mean, there's so many questions about the virus. Look, what we do know is that it affects more vulnerable people. And the issues that are being presented, I feel like are being misconstrued by a lot of different people. I mean, you can look at the basic example of the far end on both the left and the right. Let's acknowledge what these extremist ideologies are for the coronavirus. First one being, it's nothing. This has just been an outbreak that the media has blown out of proportion to scare the public, and it's no worse than the common cold or the flu. That's one perception that a lot of extremists take. The other ones, they, claim it's the end of the world. There's nothing that we can do about it. Everyone's going to be infected, and this could be an event of mass extinction. As you can see, both of those arguments are very extreme. Now, where do I meet? Once again, I sort of meet in the middle. This is sort of a trend with me. I try to look at both sides of the extreme things and try to weigh what both of those do correct and what both of them are missing out on. And for the most part, the things that you always miss out on when it comes to analyzing these extreme ends are the contextual evidence as to what is being presented. Now, yes, coronavirus is a threat. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having these procedures in place. People are saying, oh, this is no more threat than the common cold or whatever. And, sorry, I just got a message. No more threat than the common cold, but are we having processes to restrict the common cold from spreading? Because the common cold isn't as easily spread as the coronavirus, or maybe it is actually. That I'm not too sure. But the common cold affects those to a low to mild variety. For the most part, the common cold is not going to kill people, and there is a reason why we haven't had to make measurements or restrictions or quarantines because of the common cold. It's because it isn't that deadly. Now, the coronavirus is very new. This is why people are scared of it. The common cold has probably been existing for a very, very long time. The coronavirus has been producing these numbers in a short, limited amount of time. And we also have treatments for the common cold. Okay? We don't have treatments for the coronavirus. That's the main difference there. Now, the main target that we need to sort of look at here are people who are vulnerable and the elderly. Now, vulnerable people, that sort of the bracket would be including people with lung conditions. Maybe you have asthma, maybe you have COPD, or you have respiratory issues that could affect, if you do have a serious viral infection, that could be a dramatic increase of chance that you may be seriously affected by the coronavirus. So we're focusing on the two groups of the elderly and the vulnerable. And, I don't have the stats in front of me, but, elderly and people who are affected by these respiratory conditions, it's not a small number. So we're trying to isolate ourselves, or a lot of countries are, to make sure that we don't get in a scenario where these people can be significantly afflicted and they could be sort of in the danger zone of death. We don't want that to happen, obviously. So people are right that, okay, coronavirus isn't that serious to the general person, maybe. To the general person, it probably isn't that serious, but there still is a risk, okay? But the risk involved with the common person is that it is still transmittable from that normal person, and it could spread to someone who was vulnerable. That is the main problem, okay? And which is very hard to tackle. Several governments over the world are trying to figure out what the best process of tackling this is. Whether you have, countries on lockdown, shutting down the borders, whether you have increased resources dipped into scientific research to try and find a cure. There are several different ways these countries are tackling things. Some still have their borders open. Some have their grocery stores open. Some have them shut. Some have mass gatherings still on. Some have no mass gatherings. So there will probably be an evaluation so that these rules can be more streamlined so everyone does understand them. But from my particular understanding, you're better safe than sorry, right? I mean, the Australian government has labelled a lot of these gatherings that you're not supposed to attend as non-essential. So basic essential from what they're giving us as a definition. So that would be schools and universities, TAFEs, etc. They're still going to run because they would be classed as essential. And, things like that where you do on a day-to-day basis that would be required for you to live, or you're pursuing something that is of importance, deemed what their criteria actually means. So mass gatherings that would not be important would be like parties or something like that, So, it probably needs to be something done in terms of schools and universities and TAFE, reducing the amount of risk, pushing them towards online, I feel like is the best way for that to happen there. I mean, I just want to make sure that this isn't spread to the most vulnerable people within our community. That is my basic understanding of what the coronavirus is and what should be implemented. Of course, I am no scientific doctor. I'm not a scientist of any concern whatsoever. But I do feel like, especially with me having a personal connection, my mother does have a dangerous lung condition where she could be vulnerable with the coronavirus. You feel sort of personally attached to the possibilities of, a loved one not being there in the future, or someone who may have asthma, for example, which is very common in today's society. Now, I have a lot of friends that have asthma, and if they get afflicted seriously, then it could be in danger there. So I just want to make sure that we're not too silly. I do think it's important to live, but at the same time, you just want to make sure that we don't do unnecessary things, and make sure that we can remain safe, we stay posted within each other, and can understand how to deal with this. We don't know exactly when a cure or a vaccine is going to be done. Predictions have been 12 to 16 months, but you never know. Especially there is a lot of legislation and procedures to get through a medication, because for a lot of legal reasons you could potentially harm someone with that medication. It could not bode well for the common folk. That's why they have extensive testing to make sure that it's going to be a good result for a majority of our people. So let's see what happens in that regard, guys. I only wanted to make this a very short Rally with Racquet episode because I didn't want to go too much on a rant or a tangent on something so negative in that sort of respect. But next episode will be about Project Valorant. Once we get a little bit more footage and stuff of that, I feel like I want to talk about it more extensively. I was going to make one before about my initial reactions, but I don't really want to do that at the moment. I'll do it once some more stuff gets leaked or gameplay, whatever. But me, and we can start talking more Project Valorant. So, thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you all stay safe out there. Don't be silly. Wash your hands. Simple stuff. Just play it safe. That's all I can say. Play it safe. Remain indoors if you have to. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.